How's it going, everybody? Back for another Sunday night live stream. Got a I don't know, interesting topic tonight, for me at least. We'll get into that in just a moment, but until then, let's just allow a couple people to get on here. I'm going to share this on Facebook because that helped last week. If you are available at all to share this with someone that you know, that is super helpful. So if you can share it on Facebook or go ahead and send it to somebody. If you want to hit like as you come into the live stream, that would be great as well. I finally feel like I'm getting caught up, although, still some things falling through the cracks in my life, but overall, getting very, very good. Yeah, much better than before. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay. Oh wow, we got a bunch of people on here. That's awesome. Thank you guys that are coming in. Hit the like button, share it with someone that you know. Do all the good stuff. I want to have a conversation tonight about this whole idea of 2020. You're seeing like I think it's entirely defeating for us as a culture if we just write off the rest of the year. I think it's very unwise, and I guess I'll explain that in just a minute. But let's see who's all in the house here tonight. Throw a comment in there so I know that you're here. Todd was the first one here. Meatloaf says, "Sorry, can't share with anyone. I don't know people." You definitely know some people. I mean, share it with a couple people. Todd says, "About time you get online." Yeah. Hey, it's better than 10 o'clock. I've been walking it back slowly, so pretty soon we'll be back to the 9 o'clock because the seasons are changing pretty fast. I don't know if you've noticed, but tonight what was very helpful is I could go out and do the chickens earlier. So I got to do the chickens at it was a little bit before 8 o'clock. And so if I can coax them inside before 8 o'clock, that means I don't have to put them to bed after I put the kids to bed, which then helps my night significantly, allows me to get on here sooner and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's been quite interesting this summer because the kids have been staying up later, all those kinds of things. It's just been it's been a struggle. Not to mention, 2020, this is kind of like the other thing that I want to talk about when we get into it, but let me just catch up on comments. John says, "Good evening, Andrew. How's it going tonight?" It's going well, my friend. I'm just, like I said, I've been catching up on things. I'm over halfway now through my house painting project, which is very exciting. Got the bathroom done, I got the living room done, got the school room done. And so, I don't know if you'll be able to, can you see you can kind of see the bluish color in there. So it's like a robin's egg blue, or like I don't know Tiffany, like Tiffany and Company, that kind of blue. And then we're getting a bunch of white furniture to go in there. So we'll have like this really nice, clean, new homeschool space, which is very exciting for us as well. Plus we'll have bookshelves everywhere. I'll have room to bring a lot of my books over from my library that's at my office, which will be great as well. Todd says, "What's up with the bees?" My bees didn't survive the winter. However, I had a couple bees move in to one of the hives, and so I need to go in and check them out pretty soon to see how they're doing. I've had a lot of bee activity though, and butterflies. Oh my goodness! I know a lot of people have said they haven't seen butterflies. But I have seen at least double the amount of butterflies that I would normally see at my house. When I go out in the garden, I don't know if it's just because my garden has so many flowers in it, but it is like butterfly central. It's amazing. So Um, yeah, anyway, that got off topic. Aaron's in the house. Good to have you, Aaron. Todd says, went magnet fishing yesterday. My buddy got a spoon. I got a nail. Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? You're gonna find that. Like, you're gonna find something real good here one of these days. Terry's in the house. Good evening. I love you too. Miss you guys. Are you? I can't. Are you in West Virginia yet? I thought you were in West Virginia already, but it looked like there was pictures of you guys in Benazet, so I didn't know where you guys were at. But hope to see you again in at Living Water very soon. So we got enough people on here. Let's start this conversation. So I want to talk about the good things about 2020, and if you guys have any blessings or good things that you want to mention, please go ahead and do so. This is what I see happening, okay? On Facebook, we have constantly the meme culture that we live in wants to just harp on whatever's popular. And so we see a lot of like all the negative stuff about 2020, you know, like January, Australia burned, and February, the virus came in March, there were lockdowns, in April, there were, murder hornets. And so you see, have like all of these things, and people are, what it's creating is like this kind of desire in people to get the next meme. So what are we going to do for August? How can we turn August into like this theme of negativity? How can we continue to, drive that narrative forward? And I think people are doing it for the most part as a joke. Okay, I understand that, but joking even in a negative fashion does not lead anywhere good. It takes the wind out of the sails for the rest of your year. And I would argue that as horrible as some of the things in 2020 have been, there have been hidden blessings in each and every one of those things. In fact, that's a scripture we quoted this morning. It's something that I keep coming back to over and over again because it's been so true in my life. Sorry, bear with me here. So this scripture in Romans 8:28, it says, "We know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose." And so, like, God is continuing to work all of these things that the world would want to put on us negatively, and he will be able to turn those things into a positive for us. I go back to my daughter when she was diagnosed with diabetes. That was obviously very, very difficult. Obviously, it's something we would never wish on anybody, certainly would never wish on her. But even in the midst of that, there have been a lot of positive things that have come out of it, okay? I've been speaking from the very first time that I heard the diagnosis that, maybe this is an opportunity for God to use her life to be able to speak to other people with diabetes, and she'll be able to relate to a million other people in the United States in a way that you and I or someone without diabetes would never be able to relate to them. And so if she can be a light into their world, like, that's going to be an amazing blessing for her of something that was really, really negative in the beginning. Other smaller blessings aside from that would be, overall it's caused our family to really watch what we eat more. And so this year the garden is bigger than it's ever been. And part of that reason for me is because I want us to be able to eat as many fruits and vegetables fresh as we can possibly eat, because that helps her diabetes, it helps her sugar numbers, and helps us as a family be healthier as well. And so it was a little bit of a kick in the butt to kind of make that move forward. And so all of these things, even if they're negatives, they can be positives in some way. And so I don't know if you guys have any of those things that are happening in your life that are positives. I have all kinds of things that I can lay out, and I will in just a moment. But let me check on comments. Terry said we were in Benazet this weekend and camp. So did you go to West Virginia yet, or not yet? Meatloaf says you need a new hat. Yes, it is starting to wear. I actually stole this hat from my wife like 3 years ago. And so I figured out what happens. I figured out why it is the way that it is, because I'm not like generally hard on hats. But what I do is when I'm working in it, I just noticed I was doing it the other day. I take off the hat and itch my head, and I always use that part of it. And so I actually, over the last few years, I've worn that part of my hat down to the point where now it went right through that. Messy hair, messy hair. Yeah, see, that's why I wear a hat. So now you understand. I was outside working this evening, so that's why. Jonathan says, a blessing. The new business, that's always been my dream to have my own thing, and now I do. Absolutely. And so, yeah, that's one of the great blessings of this whole thing for me as well, is the opportunity for investment. I mean, right away, when the market went down, I was thinking, man, this is a great opportunity to invest, because for me, I don't think the virus is going to last for 4 or 5 years, and I definitely don't think people are going to put up with government shutdowns. And so the economy has to return to normalcy, in my opinion, sooner than later. I think that it already is to a great extent, even though unemployment still hasn't gotten to where it needs to be. But a lot of the other things, corporate profits are certainly through the roof. So that's been good for them. But small business is still, I think, hurting very, very badly. But that aside, what an opportunity for investment. If you're looking to buy a house, man, I think if you've been saving up for several years and you want to get into the housing market, I think now is a fantastic time to be investing in real estate. I just can't imagine that after things kind of return to more of a normal, that real estate isn't going to go way, way up. So, very much an opportunity for business people and for people with an investment mindset to take advantage of lower prices right now. Another blessing for me, time at home. I mean, I have I have taken more time off this summer than ever. My wife just said from the background, ever. And so it's probably not ever, but certainly since I've known my wife, which is, what's that, 9 years now? Um, 10 years I've known my wife, actually. That's crazy. 9 years we've been married. But, um, but yeah, through the lockdown, even, I know a lot of people were happy to see the lockdown end. By the time it ended, I was kind of like, this is kind of nice. Because we were running a schedule with my workplace that every third day I was taking off. And so it was really great because I just spent a lot of time at home, and I did a lot of projects, and I built, chicken tractor, and I built the little greenhouse, and I did all this garden work. And that's the reason my garden is so great this year, is because I took that time and really spent it at home. Not only that, but I think my relationship with the different members of my family are all better as well. I hope that you've been taking advantage of the time at home, as to kind of reconnect with people and to do those things. But that's been a major major blessing for me as well. Um, it's also afforded me an opportunity to kind of work on a lot of projects that I haven't had time to work on. So trying to set up different systems, within the church. That was a major blessing for us, was to have this new church building, and then to have time to kind of work out a lot of the kinks. We're still working them out. Today was a prime example of that, which I won't get into. But we're still trying to figure out, different things there. But it's been really great because there's a lot of grace in the system right now, where people I think, are very understanding for the most part, when you're trying to figure it out. Let's see here. Jonathan says, I'm always trying to look at the positive side of things. Some things have been hard to do that in 2020, but I still check. On another note, I'll get you a Peppy Lube hat free of charge. That sounds great, man. That would be great. Um, Todd says, oh, magna fishing. Yes, 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 yes. Aaron says, my life has really started to change in a positive way. I may have lost a lot, but I'm gaining so much for God, and it's been a blessing. Shell says, nothing good about 2020, Andrew. That's not true. There is good about 2020. Um, Another good thing that I'm seeing happen in 2020 for Kittanning is there is there's a lot of work happening on properties. I think the stimulus money affected Kittanning in a better way than just about any other town because our cost of living is so low. So let's say you're in San Francisco or New York City and you're renting an apartment for $3,000 a month and you get a stimulus check for $1,200. You're like, yeah, that paid my rent for 10 days. Thanks, government. If you're in Kittanning and your rent is $600, that paid your rent for 2 months. And so it's a very different story in Kittanning. Same thing goes with purchases, with remodeling, with cost of food, all those kinds of things. I think the stimulus really helped people to be able to complete projects around their house in conjunction with the lockdown. So you had people spending more time at home, and then they had some extra spending cash if they were still able to work in some capacity, or if people were able to get unemployment and ended up with a $600 extra a week. I think that helped a lot of people to be able to invest in their properties. And I haven't done the survey. Kevin and I haven't gone out and done our survey for 2020 yet, but I know there are many houses that were on our list that were houses that were really in disrepair, houses that maybe we were trying to go and help, and houses that we were, trying to continue to help people, make improvements to their places. Then all these things were just happening. People were just doing things, and I'm marking things off of our list because there's no work needed to be done anymore. And so it's an incredible blessing. And so in many ways, 2020 feels like a lost year for people, but for the goals of Kittanning 300 and for the goals of what we're trying to accomplish for the borough of Kittanning, I don't think it's going to be a lost year. I think when we look back, it's actually going to be a year where we're going to say, man, we worked half as hard and we did twice as much. I think that's how it's going to look by the time that we're done. Last year, we saw an improvement in 2019, 13.41% in Kittanning. And so if we can come, even close to that number, we're going to be 25% improvement in 2 years. That means over the course of 6 more years, there will be no blight in Kittanning, which is going to help a lot of other things significantly. You're going to see outcomes for children improve because of that. You're going to see drug use you're going to see addiction and overdose deaths, I believe, continue to come down as well in conjunction. And we have other things that are in the works too, that are still moving forward, albeit in ways that feel slower, but things are still moving forward. There are different plans happening in downtown Kittanning. There are a lot of positive things going on for the borough. Shell says, I bought a white bird with my stimulus. What kind of bird was it? Says she was only $20. We need industry here. That's absolutely true. So, yeah, we definitely need more industry. But there are a lot of employers that have expanded over the last couple of years. And so there's industry happening. But we do need more of it, more diversity for sure. But you have companies like Oberg, which was recently bought by Cliff, the owner of Rosebud, and he is continuing to expand that business. From what I understand, you have people like Bergad that just built a very large add-on to their industrial complex in Rayburn Township. You have the training facility that's going to be going into the industrial park. So there are a lot of positive things happening on that part as well. Shell says, are you going to run for the local government or anything? No. No, definitely not. I have no plans for that whatsoever. I would, if I lived in Kittanning Borough, I would run for council or for mayor. But I don't live in Kittanning Borough, so I can't do that. The other thing I would love to do, maybe someday, would be county commissioner, but I don't think that. Well, I'm definitely not going to do that anytime soon. And I would have to be in Kittanning for more than 8 more years for that to make any sense to me. And I'm not really sure that that's going to be totally true. So I have no idea what God has planned for me. So I'm really not planning anything beyond 2027. That's the 300th birthday of Kittanning, and that's when we're planning to have met all of our goals for Kittanning 300. And so that's as far as my timeline goes right now, is 2027. And I don't plan on running for any kind of government position before then. Definitely not. I got too much other stuff to do, and honestly, I think I'm more productive outside of the government. Hopefully, the things that you and I can do together as a community and as churches, I believe that we will be able to have more positive impact, and we can actually, I think, shine a light on things for our government so they can be able to more properly allocate their resources to have the most impact. Jonathan says, have they done anything with the Market Street shops yet? I'd love to see new places in there. That would be a big positive. Yeah, that would be an absolutely huge positive. I have not seen anything else happen, Jonathan, other than they continued to do their remodel on the facade of that building. That's pretty controversial. I'm planning to make a video about it, actually, so I'm not going to get into it right now. But yeah, those building owners, they seem to be doing the bare minimum that they have to in order to avoid fines, and that's okay to a certain extent. But I wish it was different than it is. There's not a lot of positive about that place right now. Although it is better than it was before, I have to say that. But yeah. Jonathan says, I called the number for it, no answer and no call back. Yeah, that's the story. I had to call them. I bet I called them 30 times before they called me back. And I actually, don't think less of me, but I had to lie on the message in order for them to call me back. I basically had to say, hey, I'm really interested in your building. I want to buy it. Which is not totally untrue. I just didn't want to buy it for any kind of price that they wanted to accept. But I did finally get to have a conversation with them. And I'll just tell you, like, don't hold out much hope on that building unless it changes owners. We have other stuff to work on, luckily. But yeah, that's a frustrating topic for me. Todd says, Andrew, do you know how deep the river is around Kittanning Bridge and how far the bridge is off the water? I would say the bridge off the water has to be, 50 feet. It's pretty long. The river itself, though, from my understanding, is very shallow. And right now, the river is extremely low. You could walk out. I was talking to Jim, actually, on Saturday. He said you could probably walk out halfway across the river and you still would be touching bottom. That's how low the river is right now. So you might have some luck just going down on the banks and casting it out. I don't know how far you can get that thing, but it might be worth your time just to try to do that. Yeah, I've never seen the river lower. We are in, I don't know if it's official at this point, but we're in like full-on drought, I think. So this is the other thing that I see happening and why I think that we need to flip the script on 2020. What I believe is happening is the negativity, the overall negative spirit, interlaced with the anxiety caused by the lockdowns, the virus itself, all these different things, even like putting on a mask, just kind of that action, I believe, puts our brains into kind of a survival mode, which would be explained as fight or flight. Yep. And so if we continue to be in fight or flight for too long of a period of time, it leads to adrenal fatigue. And a lot of people don't realize what's happening to them when that happens. But adrenal fatigue is basically, I believe that there can be like chemical imbalance depression in your mind, adrenal fatigue actually leads to a similar outcome. That high anxiety for so long will actually put you into a physical depression. And so it's not just like the blues, it's not just, oh, I'm feeling down today. But literally, we're talking about depression that could be diagnosed clinically, but is probably not being diagnosed clinically in people. And I'm not saying like you need to run out and get depression medication. In fact, I think that's the last thing that you should do. But that's a whole nother topic. I'm not a doctor. Don't take my medical advice. But at the same time, we have to continue to try to counteract that, because if we continue to run in that vein for too long, we continue to go down that road for too long, we'll end up not just with adrenal fatigue as individuals, but we end up with adrenal fatigue as a society. And I already kind of believe that we're there. But the first step to working our way out of that is to recognize that it's actually happening. And so if you're in that place, reach out to some people. Reach out to me if you have nobody else. Reach out to some friends. Reach out to some family members. Find some kind of semblance of normalcy. And when you have to put on that mask to go into the grocery store, don't allow the fear to overtake you. Don't get into that fight or flight survival mode. We need to continue to almost force positivity and to separate ourselves from negativity. Separate yourself as much as you can from that fight or flight response. Separate yourself from the anxiety that the world is trying to press upon us. Not only that, we're in election season, and so that is automatically like ramping up people's anxiety. You can see the media that is just harping on everything at this point. It's really, really bad, and it has enormous potential to create really terrible outcomes for us as a nation. But I just want to proclaim over you today that you don't have to allow that negativity to rule you. You can focus on the good things that are happening around us. You can focus on the positive, and you can still make a positive difference. 2020 is not a lost year. We are only halfway through August at this point. You have 4.5 months to accomplish all the things that God has laid on your heart to accomplish, and nothing needs to hold you back. We're still doing Summer of Serve. I can't believe we're still accomplishing all of the goals that we set out to accomplish in 2020. That's in the midst of taking more time off. That's in the midst of having struggles getting volunteers, because there's some of our regular volunteers are not connecting in a normal way because of COVID, because of the government lockdowns. There are an abundance of volunteers that are just I think just having a hard time right now, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, and it hasn't been a bad thing. But we've been able to accomplish everything that we set out to accomplish with the people that we've had. Like, God has given us the right crew every week for the right moment, and so He'll do that for you too. But you have to step out in faith. You have to get out of that current mindset and get yourself into a new mode of thinking, into a new mode of operating. But if you can recognize it, you can change it. And so if you're recognizing that in you right now, then we got to take some steps to start to change and to adjust. Let's see. Jonathan says, oh, sorry, I already read that one. Meatloaf's telling Jesus that I lied to the building owner. That's okay. I've already repented for it. It's okay. Todd says, love the yip from the background. Yeah, my wife wholeheartedly agrees. We've had this conversation a couple times now. In fact, we just had it earlier today. But we're accomplishing things as a family too. Man, it's been really good. I can't believe that I entered into a 5-room painting project in the middle of summer with Summer Serve happening at the same time. But I did, and we're getting it done. It's amazing. It's awesome. By the end of August, my whole list is going to be clear. I think our church list is going to be clear. Summer Serve list is going to be clear. My house list is going to be clear. I'm going to be so stinking excited, which is wonderful, because we have some really cool stuff coming up at the beginning of October that I cannot wait to lay out to you. But not quite yet. But I will introduce you guys to what we're planning for October very, very soon. Todd says, I'd love to talk to you about that with you person to person. Hey, we can do that, Todd. Let me know, send me a message maybe tomorrow, and maybe we can figure out when we can meet for lunch. My treat, by the way. Jonathan says, got to get out of here a little early tonight. Good night, everyone. God bless you all. Stay safe. Keep positive. Yeah, I'm heading out too, my friend. So no hard feelings there. Todd says, I've been injured since February, so then throw in the mask wearing. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people in that situation too. And think about people that are maybe living by themselves, or they don't have a lot of family around, or they don't, they don't have any human connection for the last 5 months at this point. I can only imagine how that would begin to play with your mind. And so, but we got to break out. We have to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That doesn't mean you have to be stupid and go out and do unsafe things or whatever, but we do have to break out up here first so that we can move forward in the physical. All right, that's it for tonight, you guys. Hopefully you got something positive about 2020. If you're watching this after the fact, please put in the comments. Tell me something positive that is going on in your life because of 2020, even because of the negative things about 2020. That's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. I'm enjoying getting back into the live stream. Hopefully I'll see you next Sunday evening as well, and maybe even a little bit earlier. Who knows? I might just hit 9 o'clock one of these days. God bless you guys. Have a great night.